allegiance. Oh, we need a pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
Alex, you are a perfect person to
Do
do
you have
that.
your mics on?
Huh?
Mic, your mic.
Oh, my mic. Okay. Oh, the little light, okay. And we're, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Anyone wishing to address the commission or any agenda item should fill out the request form to speak and present it to the clerk prior to completion of the staff presentation.
There's no one.
Nobody's here. Alrighty, 1A, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the commission. The commission is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought to them at this time. And then 1B, commission communications. As you might note, we are down to the precious 4 or 5, and we lost one, Karen Morrison. She has now moved on to Sacramento, and we want to thank her for her expertise and her involvement in the city of West Sacramento, maybe sometime in the future, they'll move back over here. And we have no presentations. And then next, a consent. We have, do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes? Anyone?
A motion?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Could you tell me who was first and second?
Oh,
He moved and he was second.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
all righty. And now we have a consideration of Resolution 16-1, establishing the date, time, location for meetings, West Sacramento Environment and Utilities Commission. So, do we have a motion to accept or to agree to the dates and times set forth in the document?
I guess beforehand, my one question to the staff is, since I know after the new year, the mayor and the council appoint new members to the commissions, so is it normal procedure for us, the outgoing commission, to adopt the meeting schedule for the next commission?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I move to adopt.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
So it's midnight on, no. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, and now, presentation of the Water and Sewer Master Plan and workshop on future water, sewer, and refuse utility rates.
Good evening, members of the council. I'm just going to give a short introduction. My name is Phil Wright. I'm one of the assistant city managers here at the city. It's nice to meet everyone. Just to sort of set the context here, the city staff last did a rate study in 2011, so it's been a number of years. And if you recall, we were just in the middle or the beginning of the Great Recession, so we were really focused on just cutting as many expenditures as we could throughout the city and really minimizing any rate increases at that time, knowing the impact on businesses and citizens. And we did a very good job of that. We're going to continue this presentation that Nitish Sharma, our budget manager, will be giving you. Will show that we're continuing to look at cost cutting and technology everywhere we can to minimize the impact of the rates, but we need to make sure, obviously, that our rates are covering the services that we're providing. So this has been a long time in coming. Nitish Sharma, who's the budget manager, has been the lead on the finance side, working with many people in the Public Works Department staff, so we want to thank them for all their work, and our consultants. Tonight we're here basically to go through the process, what we have done, the findings, and to get any comments from the commission that we, of course, will take to the council actually on Wednesday when we bring this item in a workshop format to the council to get their comments before we come back for final adoption. So with that, I will turn it over to Nitish.
Thank you. Got a few slides here to just cover the high level, some of the overall proposal from staff. So thank you, Phil. Again, Nitish Sharma, budget manager for the city. Today we are here to seek guidance to the appropriate level of rate increases for water, sewer, and refuse. Yeah. Little technology problem. We'll make sure we'll fund this next time. It's not working. Anyhow, I'll just continue and then we can go back to the slides. So the objective of the utility financial plan, we actually presented to council on July 20th. So basically, staff initiated the rate design process and financial plan based on these objectives. For example, develop utility rates based on rate-setting principles, which are reserve fund balance, cost-based accounting, budget stabilization fund, and also debt service component. We also established cost reduction measures and new technologies, as Phil mentioned, because these cost reduction measures are important to minimize the rate impact. We also developed scenarios for each utility fund as appropriate, as to ensure that sufficient funds are there for maintenance and operations and maintenance needs. And lastly, we also conducted a regional utility rate comparison. That's in the staff report towards the end of the report to compare West Sacramento with other regions around here. In the staff report, we presented a chart on, for example, water fund. Moving on to water fund to illustrate the revenues and expenses since 2011. As Phil mentioned, expenditures were adjusted each year with council's budget, biennial budget adoption and midterm budget to ensure that the revenues and expenses are matching. In every year, some of the expenses were pushed if there was a reason that it was going to cause the deficit. Also, the water fund, we also help in the last 5 years to continue to invest in capital. For example, one of the things we are doing is water meter retrofit projects. So we continue to fund those and to ensure that we're meeting with the state requirements. If you look at the attachment and in the staff report, we have proposed 3 scenarios for water model. And the scenario 1 is using a net debt proceeds of 10 million. Scenario 2 is 15 million, and scenario 3 is 20 million. For your information, the total capital needs identified in the 5-year CIP is 33.1 million. 7.5 million of the capital is being funded as pay-as-you-go, basically rate each month from the rate revenues. We are depositing some money aside for pay-go expenses. Each scenario has pros and cons as discussed on page 4 and 5 of the staff report. Staff will be proposing scenario 2 to council this Wednesday. The reason we are proposing scenario 2 because of moderate rate increase, the amount of capital that will be financed, and the amount of capital that's deferred to be funded from grant revenues or other financing sources. The city has been very successful in securing grants, so staff believes that the 10 million that's been deferred will be paid through that process. As also illustrated in the staff report, a sample customer account for flat water rate and then metered water rate. Under the scenario 2, the average increase for a flat rate customer is less than $2 in the first 2 years. Staff is hoping that we transition most of the customers from flat to metered within the 2 years, whereby customers will be able to save money based on their water use. Moving on to sewer fund. Sewer fund, as you can see in the report from the chart, was operating in a deficit in the first 3 years of the prior rate adoption. In the last 2 years, the sewer fund did stabilize itself with a rate increase. Currently, these revenues are sufficient to pay for the expenses, and also there's adequate revenues to fund capital. Due to this, we are only proposing one scenario for sewer with minimal rate increase. For a residential customer, the increase is about 25 cents in each year, with the first year being 28 cents. For commercial customer, we are also introducing a $5 flat fixed rate to be paid. Commercial customers are billed based on average winter water use, which is January and February water use. And when there's a drought or if there's a lot of rain, it changes the water the sewer, the water use. So we are proposing the fixed fee to stabilize the revenues. That's what we're proposing, so commercial are paying their fair share, and it's not been subsidized by residential. With that said, moving on to refuse fund. As you can see in the chart, refuse fund operated in a deficit each year. The deficit ranges between $350,000 to $550,000, depending on the waste hauler increase. The proposal for refuse fund is the rate is based upon the new contract that was approved by council. Each year, the contract has an escalation factor of 4%. Staff is proposing that cost of refuse services to be allocated to ratepayers. There's a table in the staff report shows the average increase for a residential customer with a 64-gallon cart. The first year is about $4.29. After that is about $1 increase. The first year, the reason the increase is substantial is to cover the cost and then make sure the fund is stabilized, there's no deficit. Moving on, we also presented a utility rate comparison in the report. As you can in this chart, we are showing that West Sacramento, the proposed rate will be the third lowest in the region, behind Folsom and Roseville. Folsom is in the process, will be doing a rate study in the next few years with Roseville also. Staff believes that after their rate has been adopted, we will be the lowest in the region. Also, we'd like to present to commission members that staff will be creating a budget stabilization fund. In every year, staff will evaluate the operating fund. If there is a surplus in operating fund, it will be transferred to budget stabilization fund to minimize any future rate increase or to pay for the deferred capital. Next steps is we are going to council, as Phil said, on December 14th with the workshop. We are asking council to approve a Proposition 218 process that will be 45 days from that day. We're hoping to go to council in February for the adoption of utility rates. And from February, or from the council adoption of the utility rates, we will give citizens 3 months, basically with with the information of the current bill based on their current rates, and then also with their proposed rate if we're transitioning to flat to metered. So they have 3 months to adjust their behavior. We will implement the utility rate increase in May or early June. Sorry about the PowerPoint presentation, but a lot of information was in the report, so I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have that can help us with this process.
I had a, excuse me, I had a question. Reading through the report, I noticed a description of the water rebate program and the refuse rebate program. Could you describe those a little bit?
Yes, for water, we understand the cost increase is consistent year over year. And also in water, we have a Measure K credit. Part of the proposal is to eliminate the Measure K credit. And we understand it's going to be an impact to some citizens. Therefore, we implemented a rebate program that's similar to the rebate that Sacramento Regional Sanitation District has. So if you're qualified for that rebate, we'll be asking council to set money aside so whereby we will be able to give citizens who meet this criteria with their rebate.
And will there be a notification to qualifying citizens sent out in utility bills or some other mechanism to notify them?
Yes, we will be in the utility bill itself, and then part of the 218 process will actually put some language in there as well.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I was just looking at the sewer fund analysis, and I was wondering what the other revenues are. There's a large jump in 2015-16.
Yes, so as you can see, sewer revenue, other revenues are fines and forfeitures. In 15-16, there was a one-time revenue of $300,000 that was transferred, so
okay.
that was
Okay.
one time. So we made sure that when we did this analysis, for the next 5 years, we don't include one-time revenues.
Okay.
That
All right.
could be going to budget stabilization fund.
Gotcha.
I had a question. This might be getting into the weeds here, but first thing, when I was going through this, and then kind of jumped out at me, Now, my math might be a little fuzzy, but, okay, we had 28% that we were required to save by the state, correct? I mean, for X period of time. And then if we didn't, there would have been a penalty associated with that. So, and then as of right now, we have 0 restrictions on our water. Okay. So if at one point it was 28 this year, and then I'm looking at the change in water use per residential customer, we're asking them to be 3% less, or have used 3% less water?
That's the change between if you're transition flat rate to metered rate.
Okay.
So we're, in the model, we are assuming that customers will save about 3% of water. That's what that is.
And my question would be, is that all?
At this moment, that's the best information we have, because right now, we're also going to be negotiating the water rights contract.
Yeah,
and
right,
all
yeah.
that. So it's this, with the state, at the moment, the drought is still sort of there, but right now, we cannot based on 218 because of that, unless it's, we are mandated by that.
Yeah, because I was just looking at 72% of the state is still under a drought mandate.
No. And also the state mandate for water use, we actually going to be addressing through water penalties if there's excessive use. That's how we're going to manage it.
Oh, yeah, speaking of which, yeah, I was going through the State Water Board, the data set that was used for this, and we had something upwards of 2,000 complaints and follow-ups. And how many actual penalties?
Actually, I think Paulina may be able to answer that, but I'm not sure on my,
Yeah.
from finance, how many penalties.
We have had penalties, we have issued penalties, and to be honest with you, I don't know off the top of my head how many there were. It wasn't very many. It has to be 3 confirmed notices. Was it only 2?
Yeah. Well, the reason I was bringing that up is that my in-laws are from Portland, and they put these little door hangers as far as that you've overdone or overused your water. And then they start, taking progressive steps to penalize them. Because when I was looking at, and this is not just in West Sac, it's virtually, when you look at the data, is that there is just absolutely a huge number of complaints and then the follow-ups. And almost without exception, maybe except for San Francisco, they seem to penalize a lot of folks over there, but almost no penalties.
So
And the reason I'm bringing it up is that we are now 5 years in, and most of the state is still, the vast majority of the state is still under drought conditions. And so if we've been 5 years in and someone isn't aware we're in a drought, I don't know how many times you have to keep warning them. That's why I'm thinking one and you're done, and then, bing. So, I mean,
So the good thing is in this current model, we have a lot of flat rate customers at the moment. So there's
Yeah.
no incentive to actually, if they are
Yeah.
using a lot of water, we're not able to charge them. But now with this model, if they're using more than 11 CCFs of water, the bill is going to be high. So this is a way to control that, is the excessive water use, is that they will be basically paying for that. Because with flat rate, they just run
Yeah.
water, you can't really do anything.
yeah, because, all the studies that I've read is that the only way people actually change their behavior, if you penalize them.
Yeah.
They don't do it voluntarily. That's just the nature of the beast. So, is there any other, thank you very much for that information. Is there any other questions?
I was actually going to piggyback off the question there about the penalties, just out of curiosity, because I've never thought about it. Where do those water penalties go? What fund? Do they go into one of these water funds? Do they go into a city general fund?
It goes to water fund as a non-rate and fee revenue, and it can be used for the low-income program, or it can be used to offset the total net revenue calculation requirement.
Anyone else? Any questions? Wow, I guess we're all good. So, do we need to have a motion to?
I don't think this requires any.
No, it's no. Yeah,
Just directions.
yeah, just direction. Okay. Is that? I guess that it would be it then, folks. Do we have anything else? No? Do I have a motion to? What?
On the side.
The what? Oh, okay, never mind, one more part. Oh, the Environmental Utilities Commission calendar, we've already approved that?
The next meeting will be February 13th, 2017.
There you go. And reports from city staff?
There aren't any updates on anything.
No. Future agenda item requests by Environment and Utilities Commission? 0? Yep. Now,
Move to adjourn?
oh, we have a move. Do we have a
I will second.
Oh, my God. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There we go.